Hey man, say man, this is the A-Man Show back at it again for more content. In this video, we're going to talk about Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has been one of the most intriguing young quarterbacks to look upon in the NFL, as he had a crazy performance as in his second start as quarterback for the Eagles. Hurts threw for 338 yards with 3 touchdowns with 63 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown in the game against Arizona. This is the performance that the Eagles needed to win some games, because the Eagles has been one of the worst teams in the NFL, and one of, if not the biggest reason why the Eagles are the way they are today is because of Carson Wentz. Man, Carson Wentz. What the hell happened to Carson Wentz? That man 3 seasons ago was putting up MVP level stats, and they not only were a Super Bowl contender, but they won the Super Bowl that year with the backup quarterback in Nick Foles winning Super Bowl MVP. Now it is looking like that Wentz is definitely not the player that the Eagles look forward to in the future, and I mean everything from his game has gone way worse. He plays too much hero ball, which leads to quick turnovers, and gone sacked way too much. Based on the 5 games he has played, he should have gone benched in week 6. Finally, in week 14, they started Hurts, and Hurts not only been winning games for the Eagles, but winning games against playoff teams in the 2 games he has played in. And I know it's only 2 games, but Hurts has shown potential to become a great quarterback for this team in the future. I'm gonna show you why in this video. Before this video starts, make sure y'all subscribe to my channel for more NBA and NFL content, and also guys, turn on post notifications so that way y'all don't miss any of my new videos. Anyways, stay tuned.
I paid my dues, now I'm a made man. I caught my fade, now I'm a made man. You never see me again. I got the juice, now I'm a made man.
Jalen Hurts' ride to the starting position has been well expected, because the Philadelphia Eagles were really going nowhere with Carson Wentz on the helm, because despite leading them to a top record in the NFC while playing at a MVP level, Wentz is 35-33-1 in total with the Eagles, despite Wentz going 11-12 in the 2017 season. Wentz hasn't really kept up with the MVP production. I mean, he had a season in 2019 similar to the MVP caliber year, as he had a 4,000-yard, 27 touchdown season, while the entire team has regressed progressively in those times. And then leading to this season, Wentz has been arguably the worst quarterback in the league. And I said arguably because you have to add in Sam Darnold out of all people. If you even look at Carson Wentz, he has been awful at throwing the ball because he tends to play so much hero ball. And I know the play calling on the offensive side of the ball has been bad, but all in all, there is no excuse why his play is so heinous. But there is always a bright side to this situation. Since Wentz has been terrible and finally been benched, the Eagles now gave the starting spot to second rounder Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has been selected with the 53rd pick in the stacked all-around 2020 draft class. As y'all already know, Hurts was a standout quarterback at the University of Alabama, where he played for the great Nick Saban, where he was considered one of the best quarterbacks in college football. As y'all can tell, he is a dual threat quarterback, as he has the athleticism to be a threat in the running game and makes great decisions with the football. In his freshman season, he completed 63% of his passes for 2,780 yards with 23 touchdowns and only 9 interceptions, and also rushed a great 954 yards with 13 touchdowns. Despite playing with the most dominant college football team in the last decade, Hurts finds a way to become a standout in the quarterback position. Following his sophomore season, he did cool down a bit, scratch that, he did cool down in the following year, but still he threw for 17 touchdowns with only 1 interception, which is pretty impressive because it pretty much shows how well he can protect the football, where there's times where he was getting pressure. In the 2017 season, Bama in week 13 lost to Auburn and was dropped out of the top 4 in the college football playoff until Wisconsin lost to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. That leaves them regaining their spot in the college football playoff. And y'all know the story. Bama took care of business against number 1 Clemson in the semis and advances to the national championship. Now, this is where everything starts to go in the opposite direction in terms of Jalen Hurts' favor. In the national championship, Hurts will play like shit in the first quarter as Bama were getting blown out against Georgia. He was missing throws like crazy. Like, he only completed 3 passes out of 8 attempts. He was the sole reason why Bama was in a 13-point deficit. So they benched him and put Tua on the field. In that game where he made a comeback against a tough Georgia team, he put his team on his back and won a national championship. And so on, Hurts will be the backup to Tua in his junior season until he transferred to Oklahoma, where in his senior season, he will have the best season of his collegiate career as he will complete a super impressive 70% of his passes for 3,851 yards with 32 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, along with rushing an absurd 1,298 yards with 20 rushing touchdowns. That season made him go 4th in Heisman voting and lead Oklahoma to the playoff, where they were smacked by none other than LSU, who went undefeated that season. So after this, Jalen will declare for the draft, and despite having a very solid collegiate career, there were concerns about his game, such as his throwing accuracy and his overall throwing ability. After that, he was seen as a project going towards the NFL draft, and despite having a solid showing in the NFL Combine, it is not enough to negate the fact that scouts don't think he is a quarterback that can become a starter in the NFL day 1. Thus, he needs development. Hurts will get drafted by the Eagles, and many fans question that pick because they should have prioritized their picks to add more players to support their franchise player in Carson Wentz, specifically drafting players who are consistent receiving options that Wentz can consistently throw the ball to. Which is true because the only 3 best receiving options that Wentz throws the ball to are Travis Fulgham, Zach Ertz, and Dallas Goedert. The rest of these guys are either average or below average. The top 3 receiving options are not even playing at a high level, and that what Eagles fans expected Philly to pick in the 2nd round, another receiver or a defender. Instead, they insisted on drafting Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round. In hindsight, it looked like a bad move altogether, but later, that pick will become a blessing in disguise as Hurts in his first game starting in week 14 against the Saints, who are Super Bowl contenders. The man had a solid first game as he controlled the tempo of the offense. He makes great decisions with the football. He has shown the ability to extend plays, and obviously he's athletic as hell as he rushed for 106 total yards, and he was the sole reason why the Eagles won against the Saints. And that game tells you that he has some upside and potential in the upset win against the Saints. But that great play would be amped up way more because in the next game he played against the Arizona Cardinals, Hurts completed 55% of his passes for 338 yards and 3 touchdowns against a wildcard team in the Arizona Cardinals. Jalen Hurts, in just his 2nd start in the NFL, had a 300-yard and 3 touchdown game, at which Wentz only had 1 game where he threw for 300 yards, and that was in week 7. And also, Hurts was a threat on a rushing game as he accumulated 63 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. An update: his 3rd game against the Dallas Cowboys, where he did throw for 342 yards, but he had a worse completion rating and only had 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions. Yes, I know, the Dallas Cowboys defense played at their best of their ability, even though they're the worst defense in football, but still, you can't condemn Jalen Hurts for that game. But I will say this, he does have some work he needs to do, and that is his completion rating. And completing passes are usually how well each quarterback can make their reads and how well they read defenses, especially with defensive set there, and that will determine how well these quarterbacks can complete their passes. And not only that, just passing accuracy in general. Hurts had a completion rating of 55% in the first 3 games at which he was starting. That is below average. That's not good. Hurts needs to be better at reading defenses and being more accurate in his passes. That is every rookie quarterback in the NFL trying to adjust to the speed of the game, despite showing large upside. Well, unless you're at Patrick Mahomes, who is just great off the gate. But anyways, these 3 games Hurts played, he has proven to be one of the most promising young quarterbacks in the NFL, as he won against playoff teams while playing at a high level in this game at which he has played. Despite the Eagles most likely going to miss the playoffs, the Eagles have something to cherish upon, and that is Jalen Hurts being a bright spot for this team for many years to come. And since we looked at Hurts as a potential franchise level quarterback for the Eagles, we have to talk about Carson Wentz and his contract, because the Eagles signed him to a max worth $128 million for the next 4 years, and that quickly backfired. At the offense ranked 25th in points and 22nd in total yards this season, and even the year prior. Wentz hasn't been in his MVP form since 2017. His play has been up and down after the 2017 season. So the Eagles this offseason need to figure out what to do with Wentz, because if they go in this route of trying to build a contender around Hurts, there are 2 options. One, you trade him for draft picks and free up the salary cap, or 2, keep Wentz on the roster but as a backup to Hurts. Because right now, Hurts is only going to get better, and as for him, I can see him become a poor man's and bigger version of Russell Wilson, a guy who's one of the best deep throwers in the game and arguably the best quarterback in terms of extending plays, and has the athleticism to not only be a dual threat quarterback but a complete quarterback in the NFL. And Hurts has shown the ability to make deep passes. It's just not as polished yet, and also he has the speed to outrun defenders and on the open field. If the Eagles would just develop Hurts properly and get the pieces around him, the Eagles can compete in the NFC. Surely at least try to become a wildcard team at best. Because keep in mind, the Eagles has a top 10 pick for this year's draft, and the Eagles should focus on getting an offensive lineman early in the draft, because the Eagles O-line has been one of the worst in the NFL, especially in the pass block setting. And in the later rounds, they should focus on drafting more receivers, cornerbacks, and middle linebackers to fill that void, because those are the areas at which they are struggling at, especially the receiving core, because their best receiver was Travis Fulgham, and he only ran for a total of 524 yards and caught 37 receptions and only 4 touchdowns. Yeah, the receiving core has been piss poor this season, but they are still young, and hopefully they can improve their play for next season so that Jalen Hurts can flourish in the offense. But anyways, although the Eagles look like they're not going to be one of the best teams in the NFC for quite some time, at least they do have a bright spot on this team, as they have a potential gem in Hurts right now, and the games he has played has proven that so far this season. And I'm looking forward to how much he's going to progress later in his career. You're looking at a guy who's gonna make a couple of Pro Bowls and maybe bring more success to this team than Carson Wentz ever did in his entire career. I mean, the Eagles starting their backups with 11-4 between 2017 to now. We'll wait and see. Anyways guys, thank y'all for watching my video. Make sure y'all subscribe to my channel for more NBA and NFL content, and also turn on post notifications so that way y'all don't miss any of my new videos. And that always guys, this is the A-Man Show, signing out.